This is the easiest way to remove buyer contingencies using a buyer contingency removal form, CAR form CRB, for this one-page document that's very easy to fill out. And it starts with the purchase agreement because this is where these contingencies originate from. And I like to think of contingencies as being three main groups. You have loan, appraisal, and then investigation of property. And then see all this beneath investigation of property? Well, that's all still part of the investigation. This form just parses out buyer investigations. But you see, insurance and reviewing seller disclosures and reviewing the title report, that's all part of buyer investigations. That's why I say there are just three main contingencies, generally speaking. And then see the 17 days? Now, it doesn't matter if that time elapses. Contingencies don't just magically go away. They must be removed in writing, or else they go on indefinitely, forever and ever. So we remove them in writing using the buyer contingency removal form. We put a number 1 here the first time we use this form. If we have to use it multiple times, we put a 2 or a 3 for each round. But since we're doing this for the first time, we put 1 here. We leave this. By default, it's part of the purchase agreement. Now you'll see request for repair, and that's because you can incorporate this into a request for repair form. If the buyer's requesting repairs and the seller agrees, it can automatically enact this form. But since we're doing a standalone contingency removal, we'll skip that and we'll put in the date of the purchase agreement, not the date we're filling this out, but the date that's on the RPA, property address, parties, names here. Now, most of the time, the buyer is going to remove all contingencies. So you scroll down to number 4, you check this box, buyer hereby removes any and all buyer contingencies. The buyer signs, you deliver to the listing agent or the seller, and you are done. That's it, it's over. And the buyer's deposit becomes non-refundable, which is an important distinction that you want to make and advise the buyer so they know their deposit becomes non-refundable once all the contingencies have been removed. Now, most of the time, that's going to solve it, and you're done, most of you. That's it. You've already figured out now how to use this form. But the second most common use of the form is if the buyer is going to remove maybe a single contingency to show that they're being punctual and playing ball. And here's a very common example. The appraisal, it gets done. It comes in at value. It's no longer an issue. What does the buyer do? They check this box up here in paragraph 2 and see how it says buyer removes only the following, checked buyer contingency. And then up here they have the three main contingencies I was telling you about, loan, appraisal, and then investigation. Well, if the buyer wants to remove just one but leave the other contingencies in place, this is where they do it in paragraph 2. And the most common one that I see removed is appraisal. Of course, the buyer could do loan, or the buyer could do investigation, and the buyer can check this box. 2C1 is the entire buyer investigation is gone. Let's say all the inspections and investigations and reviewing all the documents is over. The buyer's totally happy with the property. They want to remove the investigation of property contingency, but they want to leave the loan in place. Well, then they just check C1 and it only removes investigation. So this is just to remove one, okay? Now, there's a mess of text in the middle, and this is for unique situations that probably make up like 2 or 3% of transactions at most. So if it pertains to you, if what I'm telling you doesn't, if you have a special scenario, just read this because I'm showing you what 99% of agents need to see. Okay, and then probably another rare but occasionally seen use is buyer removes all contingencies except, you want to remove everything except a certain one? Well, you'll use paragraph 3. You want to remove everything but loan? You come down here and you just check this loan, and now only the loan contingency is in place, but everything else is gone. That's it, okay? So start off most common, use number 4, remove all of them, or just remove one of them using paragraph 2, or remove everything else but, and then put the exception contingency that you want left in place here in paragraph 3. And that's it. It's a super easy form to use, and I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching.